Wow, I have a very tough crowd to follow now, because I'm here to talk to you about something a little bit different. As you probably would imagine, being the Director of Museums and Cultural Affairs, I am passionate about art. It is transformative. It has a power that demonstrates a transcendence of, we are greater than sort of the sum of two. Two and two can become five for us. I'm also passionate in a different way, and I'm very, hate is a very strong term, but I really do hate it when people talk about art as being fluff and being an add-on and being a luxury. It is not. It is something that we need. It's integral to who we are and is integral for us as a community to get to where we need to go at the next level. And I hope you agree with me already, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about what drives this sort of passion in me. The misunderstood value of art. Many of us will talk about the value of art and we'll look at a painting hanging on a wall, or we'll talk about auction prices, and we are going to talk a little bit about that. But I want to take you to another place. What I want to say to you is we're making major mistakes in education today, because although the Industrial Revolution, we won it, we've done it, we've moved on, we're now at an information and a technology age. Unfortunately, many of our educational systems today are still slavishly chasing the whole idea of, and please, this is going to be controversial, STEM is really great, but STEAM is better. Because if you want to go out and you want the innovation and you want the creative thinking that we need for higher levels of maths and higher levels of science and everything that the people that have come before me have talked about, the people that will come after me will continue to talk about. If you take that level of creativity out of it, and if we don't encourage that in our students, we're missing a trick and we're going to fall behind. So, although the studies are now out, if students take 2 or more art classes, they are half as likely to drop out of school. Why are we cutting art education in our schools? It's an absolute dreadful mistake. In addition, communities like El Paso are working very, very hard to encourage economic development, to advance, to develop, to create a sense of place. And unfortunately, a lot of those communities, though, art and culture, don't have a place at the table to begin with, and they're considered, again, a luxury, an add-on, something to think about later. Again, huge mistake. And I'm available afterwards for comment, by the way, because I'm sure that I'm probably upsetting a few people in the room. But that's what we need to do. I like controversy. I welcome it as long as it's not just for controversy's sake. Art is a huge business. Now, I've worked both in the public and the private sector, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit to start off with the world that I came from. I came from London. I am a dual passport holder. I was born in the United States, but I've lived most of my adult life outside. And most recently, before coming here, I was involved in private sector galleries, collections. I did do a lot of public art, but I also built a lot of collections and dealt with fine art, contemporary art, and that whole evil but very intriguing world of auction. Maybe some of you have seen this piece. This is a work by Pablo Picasso, 1955. If we have any art historians in this room, they'll tell you that probably not the best example of his work. It's not incredibly innovative, but it's a record breaker. Earlier this month, you can see the numbers there, it sold for $179 million. New record. In about 90 minutes in New York, another record was broken. This is the Giacometti. This is the Pointing Man. This sold for $141 million. I'm leaving the kind of 0.3 off because that's all kind of changed when you're talking about this world. Okay? I'm going to let you in on a little secret about the art world. We only know about 20% of the business that goes. So when I tell you that this business is valued at about $66 billion a year, that's only about 20% probably of the total that's happening, because a lot of the trading that goes on is privately done and it's not reported on. But we're looking at a massive, massive business. So why in the world, if you're looking at economic development for a community, would you ignore it? And no one is anymore. This used to be the realm of the very rich, the uber famous, and a very small group of people. Now, after we finish with this little talk that we're going to do here, you're going to be invited to go over and have a look at the genesis of the art museum, the El Paso Museum of Art, which was the Crust collection. Again, uber rich, super, super successful person, and this is how it used to be. Once you made a lot of money, you went out and acquired art. But because of the financial power that this business has now in the world, everybody's involved in it at every level, including institutions, charities, because there's no quicker way to make a lot of money for a charity. MFAR just raised $34 million in a night by auctioning art, okay? So it's not the worst thing in the world to be involved in if you want to make money and if you want to make a difference. We have a neighbor just over the border in New Mexico, up in Santa Fe. The Georgia OKeefe Museum needed to raise money for their acquisitions. And I can tell you from when you're running a municipal, even a private institution, raising money is something that you're constantly concerned with. And when you need to raise money, generally you're like this, out with your hand held sort of wide and high. But with the buoyant market in art, the quickest way to make money is you can go and you can sell something you have. So they were very judicious. They selected a work. This is Jimson White #1. This was all above board. They took it to auction, and you know what? It broke a record, $44.4 million. Highest price ever achieved for a work of art by a woman. Now, there's a whole other talk that we can have, because if you look at the 44, and then if you remember what the Picasso sold for, 179, when we're talking about wage and sort of the discrepancies between what women and men earn, but that's another talk, and we can talk about that later. Anyway, the relevance here is, though, that they were able to, no one actually believed that this piece was going to go for the level that it went, and it was incredible. It was amazing, and again, it was huge news. It was huge news because it was a record breaker, and this was something that the museum set a standard. Now, we might think that the auction world is off out there and over there, and those are different people, and how does this affect us? Well, art is a huge driver for economic development. How many of you actually live in El Paso? Fantastic. How many of you were here in 2012? Okay. Most of you then know what happened in 2012. There was a bond issue that was passed. About 73%, depending on the statistics, I'm going to land on the 73. But about 73% of the voting population in El Paso voted for the quality of life bonds, because this community realizes what a huge economic development and driver that quality of life is. Museums and cultural affairs and public art all fall within that. Libraries, zoos, those are all in there too, and parks and rec. Not that that's not important. But what we're seeing is we're seeing a renaissance happening in this community. And it's because, not just because art transforms people's lives and it helps the spirit and it makes us better than who we are, but it's driving massive investment into this community. I've lived all over the world, and this was an active choice for me to come to this community, because when I learned what was happening here, I wanted to be a part of it, and I wanted to help shape, and I wanted to help lead, because I believe in this. Now, does everyone know this site? What do you call it? Don't be afraid. The project is officially, this is the Airway Project that was created by the artist Vicky Scurry. The inspiration behind the work is the flora of our desert, all the beautiful plant life that you see there. It is environmentally friendly because you know that at times the turbines are turned on, and the turbines turn, and they help to provide the energy source for the colors to change. I know that it was controversial because it took a really long time, and I know some people drive by it, and I've heard it called a whole lot of different things, including the egg beaters. Nobody wanted to say it, but some of you are going to say, you're all laughing. See, I knew. I hear it all. I promise you I hear it all. But what I can tell you about this project, it is the #1 most mentioned project to me. When people find out what I do and what I'm involved in, they all want to tell me about this, and everybody has an opinion. And overwhelmingly, with the surveys that have been done, overwhelmingly, you like it. And people that come to El Paso, they like it. And you know why? Because this is one of our gateway locations. When you come in from either the airport, or if you're coming in on Route 10, all of a sudden, we're not just a drive-by anymore. We're not just a collection of billboards. But there's something happening here, and it's encouraging people to stop and encouraging people to be here. As we talk to companies and corporations about coming to El Paso, relocating here, expanding what they're doing, yes, they want to know about, oops, I almost fell off the rug. Eric, it's not big enough. Where's Eric? I need like a bigger one, so I can work the stage. Okay. When they want to know what's going on in El Paso, yes, they want to know about the roads, and they want to know about the hospitals, and they want to know about the schools, but you know what they really want to know about to decide whether or not they're going to bring people here to live? They want to know about the arts and culture, the cultural life, and everything that's happening here. And you know what? We've got it going on. There is so much happening here, and this is driving economic development, and it's driving investment into this community. One of the things that I hear about a lot coming here, being new to El Paso, everyone wants to share their story and they want to welcome us, and it's been really, really great. But what they want to tell us is how long they've been here. I have so many people telling me that they're a multi-generational El Paso. I did leave, but I've come back. How many of you have that story? How many of you have left and come back? And you wouldn't have come back if you didn't have a sense of belonging here and if you didn't see something amazing happening. I think it's great to travel. Again, I've been a Rolling Stone for a really long time, but I made an active choice to come here, and it's because of things like this. Now, next time you go by the Egg Beaters, I'm going to share a story with you because I want to tell you. Okay, so I was with a group of constituents, and they were senior citizens, and I was talking to them about a project, a potential collaboration on a project that we were going to work on. And they said, well, what is it, young lady, that you do? And so I bravely stood up, and I said, well, this is what I do. So I do the museums, and I told them all my museums, and I said, and I also take care of all the cultural programming and our farmers market and Chalk the Block, and I also take care of the public art. And they said, well, what is public art exactly? And so I mentioned this particular project. And a woman said to me, she stopped me and she said, I need to tell you something. Now, I'll tell you honestly that I do steel myself because I hear this a lot and I never quite know what's going to come next, but I'm always open. Like I said, I like controversy. I don't mind differing opinions as long as it's not just for controversy's sake. Let's have a conversation. So I held my breath a little bit. She said, I go by this every day at different times because I live in the area. And she said, I've been in El Paso my whole life. And she said, they are my dancing ladies. And I'm getting misty. Where's Eric? Help me up. It's fabulous. Help me up here. I'm getting misty. And I thought, oh, they may be egg beaters to you, but they will never be egg beaters to me again. This is what it's about. Who knows the Brio? Who rides the Brio? Please tell me you ride the Brio. If you haven't taken it, take it. It's very, very cool. There's Wi-Fi, by the way, in the station. So when you're sitting in the stations, not only is there incredible art, but there's Wi-Fi. We're getting national, international attention about the art project, the public art project that happened with the Brio stations. This is the Mesa corridor, and we have more coming online. There'll be other artists, and there's going to be other artwork. But I can remember, again, the first time I came to El Paso, and I was coming in from the airport, and the dancing ladies, it was right before they got turned on. So they weren't moving yet, but I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then I went by the Brio stations driving along in the rental car, and I thought, wait a minute, the art's gone. There it is. Oh, look. And I'm driving my husband crazy because I'm like, you got to go back around the corner. You got to go back around. I got to see it again because, you know, it's very organic. It changes, it grows, it moves, and it disappears, and then it comes again. We're getting attention, people. People are noticing, and they want to come to El Paso, and they want to know. And why? The roads are getting better, and the schools are improving, and the hospitals are fab, but you know what? We got art, and we have a sense of place here. We have a pride of place. Is anybody going to ask me when this is going to get done? Okay, so what I'll tell you is I don't know. Eric, again, I'm looking for him back there. It is going to get finished eventually. It's going to be unbelievable, but let me tell you a little story about the Los Lagartos. I have them right now. In addition to being director of the department, I'm also interim director at the Museum of Art at this time. So I have day-to-day operations there, and one of the things that I'm holding on to right now is I have the Los Lagartos. They've come back. They went away for a beautiful, beautiful conservation and a restoration. And again, it's a first for El Paso, and it's a first everywhere. The innovation that was created with the work that was done on these, they went off to a conservation lab, and the conservation lab had planned to do about $30,000, and that's what we paid for it. It's public record, so I'm not revealing anything. We paid $30,000 for the conservation, the restoration to be done, but they got so excited about what was happening with this that they brought in other conservation people and other specialists in other areas, because Jimenez, of course, you know, used auto paint, right? But this was old technology. They innovated, and they used a technology working together in a team format, a creative team. They did a whole lot more work. The value I won't put on it, but it was a whole lot more. We got a really great bang for our buck. And this technology, it's the first time it's ever been used in art restoration. And there are other communities around the country now that face some of the same environmental challenges that we're facing here in El Paso. And they are now raising money because they have artwork that needs to be restored, and they want to use this technology. It's a first for El Paso, and it's a first worldwide. I don't know if you knew it, but that's kind of cool. And it all goes back to art, yeah? So they're going to be gorgeous when they come back. Please don't ask me when, because I don't know. The virtuous circle of art. Art is part of our culture, and it totally enhances our quality of life. But it is also a huge driver, and it is integral to our economic development. I'm going to ask you to go out, and I'm going to ask you to go and enjoy the public art. I'm happy to share it with you anytime. We have 41 completed projects with another 22 in various stages of development, and it's so exciting. Go to the museums. You're going to have a chance actually in a few minutes during the interactive. Go and enjoy it. Be transformed. Have your heart and your soul to grow and to sing, but also remember that not only is it good for our spirit, but art is really, really good for the bottom line. Thank you.